Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm looking. I was actually just sitting in the living room and Linda puts on this show that Universal Studios put on, which is an NBC company. I don't know in the big wide world of moving pictures and Academy Awards and whatever the humans do that actually get taken care of. I don't know how they're organized. I don't. But I do see these symbols like this girl who, I don't know her real name, but they call her Janko, Jancoko, I don't know. Which now that I've discovered or I've been contacted by this Gemco, Jemco, I'm like, And then there's also this like Scooby-Doo reference of like Jinkies, which I'm not quite sure what that means. Because again, I don't really have a human that's useful anywhere in my life. So there's this interaction between this blonde or whatever this color is looking person who sits at the Reagan table. It's called Blue Bloods, but they're the New York version, which is NYPD, which I don't understand, like, because TV producer land, is this like a trial without jury in some social elite making mention of it? Because I'm referenced in it, my son's referenced in it, and my Benjamin or Benjamin comes from Benjamin. Oui. He comes from the right hand. I have a right hand. The other thing uses his left. So, who does he belong to? He belongs to his mother. That's it. In the Ottoman Empire. So, then it goes from like a succession. It goes to like, I don't know, like, is this like a Walnut issue between like, if there's a man who has to work in quiet, like whatever, in saving a woman in the Super Justice League, but he has a wife, but the girl who's been hurt in the field, the MIA POW, still needs help. You were given a Walnut issue to keep protected and safe. So this way it wasn't progressed in an aggressive manner, that things just got torn open or made worse. But here we are, 4 decades, 3 years, and like he in the third degree. I mean, he's been holding on to the possibility of having access to a walnut, or finding out about a walnut in Zodiac and Chivalrous, and being in a Zodiac boat. And the same thing with this Marvel and this apparition of this Thor. I mean, he's the god of thunder. I mean, he plays the part very well with the thunderous, but I mean, I believe I looked on the internet, they said that he was married as well. Again, I don't know if he was given a walnut in order to protect. And again, I don't know, like in like British things, they talk on their Brit box, they talk about this thing of solicit. I don't even know what that means. And then it's like, isn't solicit with illicit and like the drug people? Like that sounds really sketchy. So, like, I mean, again, being left in such isolation and desolation, and then being hurt by Gemco on top of it after there's a Janko who looks like she's partners, and I guess that's confirmation of partners with what looks like my son, but they named him instead of Benjamin. They named him Jamy, which is I am and I have in other worldly knowledge. But he's partnered with his mother because she would be representing my thing. But then again, it goes seasons long, and I don't know who and what the caseload is. And then there's the Jami with the I have with the Benja and the Mean comes from the woman with the right hand, which would be myself. And then it goes into, and the Reagan. I'm the one with the physical fitness award from the Reagan administration in the White House. That was not the whatever has his the Otto grandfather named the son Peter, the other one, the Jason, who's buried in a calendar, who, I mean, I don't understand, like, why couldn't this get fixed for me with balcony? I mean, succession, executives and administrative, why are there so many mistakes made? I mean, I get great artwork, great. How do I keep my son safe now? That he's the Jami, he's the Benjamin. He's the one on the streets that people know exist, especially in sacred things. The other day I saw on the television, on local news, not TV producer land. I mean, how do you tell the difference? I don't know. But like in the real world, not the surreal world, but the real world, they said that the Taliban made an announcement. They said this on the regular news, just so the Americans don't get all like woo-woo or yo-yo. They said on the front face of the news, like Channel 7 Eyewitness News, the ones that I've been documenting, that I've been watching, as an American, North American, they said that the Taliban made an announcement that they wanted all of their members to go from head to toe in their be covered head to toe. So then they showed a picture of what that looked like, and that meant from the top there was a scarf, or I don't know what the name is appropriate, with just the eyes exposed, and then some form of garb on the bottom. So for me, right away, I'm like, oh, now I know how to recognize, because they've called out, now I know how to recognize in a respectful manner from a distance what Taliban looks like, especially if it shows up in New York. Fast forward to today, today's June 4th, 2022, I'm walking on the streets of Bayside, and at a halal food truck, there is a Taliban member from head to toe covered at this food truck on the streets, for which I am now walking in silence, but walk nonetheless. And this woman was here. I do not know what it represents. I do not know who called upon her. I do not know where to report seeing a Taliban member. I don't know, is this something that needs to be brought to the attention of something? I mean, like, again, there's no communication other than through my ability to remote view. And my accuracy on remote view, I document with my own magical device just what broadcast, so I have something to lean upon in reliability. But I don't know to whom, at JTWROS, or at ticked off. I don't know who I'm ticking off, and if it's going to put me in some form of harm's way or danger. I mean, again, the innocent and the trying to participate, and all I want is what I've lost, which is what the crazy donkey took from me. I want what I was waiting for that night to enter the door. What I don't want is what sat down next to me and then flash forward became a problem for my entire 20s and 30s. into, like, it's, I mean, I just find humans disgusting.
That's not possible.
You have an issue with that? Take it up with them. Let's go.
Take care, Officer Janko.
See, he even refers to her as Janko. Gemco. Meaning Joint Electromagnetic Command Operations. Just so we're clear, when the cerveau or the à la tête for the Ungarish isse and the problems in the ongoing, I can't talk about it. I need to know who my official is and speak to them. But thus far, I don't know who they are.
And the 6.5 felonies are down across the board for the last month.
So now, if someone in the world who has a husband who holds on to walnuts, has a wife who might or might not look like that, I wouldn't know. Being that I've never had a marriage that has ever been whatever in the gods. And if she's now surrounded by her lawyer, his lawyer, and some person of judgment or needs things that she's able to speak to or officiate on, I don't see, like, where do I get to the original man that called me his star before the crazy donkey ever happened? Because that's all that ever mattered. The rest of humanity means absolutely nothing. But there's, like, a lot of this, like, story that's been going on in drama and trauma at Successions, because now they have, like, this new TV show I won't watch between Axelrod and the Billions, and then the Successions of, like, it's not my thing. I'm not in my forever family. I have not been in a forever family since I arrived. They have not come to the kill shelter and said, you are our... Actually, I did have somebody say, you are mine. I will find you. I am going to marry you. Great. And then he disappeared for life. Doesn't make me feel like I'm in a forever family. Makes me feel like I'm one of the abandoned shelter animals in the kill shelter, and someone else is profiteering while I'm left in the field being abused daily and just waiting with no answers.
Great. Set up a call with the CO.
Will do.
On that other case, I got someone looking into it, boss, but nothing to substantiate yet.
What case?
Nothing.
Doesn't concern you.
That's why we use words like walnut, sister, or whatever succession like the Reagan way needed to protect the animal in the shelter that was a kill shelter while others are being sheltered in a less harmful manner, and their mission and objective, as sworn in by I don't know whom, was to get the baby doll out of harm's way and to the person in whatever balcony it might be in a scenario. There's one for the people, great, found her. He doesn't come out on the balcony when she comes out, but he has a balcony of his own somewhere else. Or he's got people that he's whatever in whatever. I'm in a New England scenario, so I guess she's the one at the balcony. It's not her balcony, but her balcony's been looking over this portion of the kill shelter for a while, and things have gone wrong. And I don't have a handhold or a face to speak to other than my own. And there's big circumstance going on.
So, a secret case.
No.
Who's looking into this secret case?
Why are you giving me the third degree?
Why are you avoiding the question?
Third degree, interesting. There's only a few of us in the third degree club. And I think the third degree met with an 11 at one point. Just saying. In a kind of sort of but not really way of saying it, in a Walnut issue way.
This has something to do with Archbishop Kearns.
You're looking into a case for Kearns? A secret case? This isn't exactly kosher.
Okay. Garrett, Abigail, give us the room.
And again, I'm not going into this because I can't even follow this myself. I don't have a script. I don't have translation. I don't have anything that's comfortable or familial, but yet it's on big broadcast. And now the city of New York has been able to see it. There are others that knew that it came out. I don't know if it protects Benjamin, if he's whatever. It's only fear I have of him being in some form of law enforcement. I mean, does it give him street credit? It sure does. Does it show how him and his family conduct business? Sure does. But it's what the Forever family's supposed to look like at this theoretical table that Benjamin's mom at the moment works at, just doesn't know how to congregate in all of the moving pieces, that somehow there's like a solicit, but like it's not a solicit, I don't know, it's some kind of strange animal. It's Zootopia at this point. And this one comes from Universal. Hang on. Okay, .37 from whenever it was taped on Linda's thing. I'm sorry, 38. Comes this. Universal Television. So that's who brought it out.
The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, weeknights on CBS.
Morning, Baker.
Archbishop Kearns is in your office, waiting.
Again, this is North American, and this is the respectful part of New York that I have no access to. It exists. Perhaps he's not the one at 1PP, but somebody is. Who it is, I don't know. But somebody is. And so there's this parallel paradox going on with some agreement for street credit, for protection, for funding, for however it works in the front office. And then there's back office business in trying to keep people safe, especially when very real people have a very real caricature that looks like very real whatever, and I don't need things being misread because that would send the wrong message. But I'm not involved with this very real possibility of somebody else's caseload in I don't know what level. I don't have the words. They haven't constructed anything English for me to follow along with this. Not even like an introductory meeting on how television is working things. I see that it's working. I see that they've caricatured certain characters with names and whatnot and set it up in a way that facilitates something in gigantic schematics and movements. I'm just not quite sure why in this grand schematic of things I can't even find a level of participation. I mean, somebody's paying money to do identity, whatever, protection or documentation, But then the people who are involved, like on the real world, I mean, like, this is surreal world. And then there's real world. Why is it in the real world I'm having trouble with participation in some form of respectable work, while surreal world is documenting pieces of my story and storytelling in a very specific way, in a respectful manner, which I greatly appreciate. It does not go, but it doesn't summate or equate out to motions and actions that I'm able to participate in that produces some kind of money or currency. I'm in a US dollhouse. I'm not in a UK pound. So now this gets interesting with the dog pound and the dog fight, and I'm in the US doll system, but I'm unable to get US dollars and contacts in order to participate in a manner. I don't know. Do I belong in a UK pound system at this dog fight? I don't know. Again, like, he worked for his father. All I knew. He asked me to marry him. I said yes. He was coming back for me. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. And then Crazy Donkey happened. And then my whole life went off. Even worse than before.
Friday. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing here?
I couldn't sleep.
Clearly.
I was in a church once. Just once. They had a very special guest. I, again, am not integrated into the Catholic system as well as some expectations might have. I'm not against it either. I don't have a formal invitation. I have not been holding the hand of anything that knows things. Their religious efforts, I've never been indoctrinated. I've sat in a class. They tried to teach me, the one theology teacher tried to teach me the importance of their pageantry. But again, with the memory problem that I'm suffering from, carrying that one-time introduction decades into the future, it doesn't equate into anything. It's a whole lot of hoopla, a whole lot of nothing. I mean, it's important. I just can't recall or lean on my memory of what I've been through and experiential in order to tap into that, in order to produce at the moment any successful whatever, which is a real problem. But I remember being in a church and somebody of high importance coming in at the church level, which, again, I did not understand his celebrity in the church leadership role. I didn't know if this was something that was standard. Do all of the children that go to Catholic school get a visit like this? Is this like the Pope from Rome coming? Is this like the President of the United States coming to see a congregation? Unless it's spoken with the level, and my grandfather, might I add, the one who knew things outside of American things, he did a lot of work for the church here, or so my father says. He painted for the church. He knew how to paint frescoes and marble and stuff, from one of his talents that he learned in Italy, supposedly. And so, but again, my grandfather died in 1996, and I was here, I was in the hospital the day he died. I was at his side, but there's been no contact from anybody that he had contacts with. Nobody sought me out. Nobody's tried to help me face to face, that kind of thing, which gets confusing. But that's just this North America at the moment.
Thank you. So?
I saw your press conference last night, Frank. The one where you announced an arrest in the Stephanie Miller case.
Yeah, we arrested a guy, Lamar White. What about it?
He didn't do it.
His fingerprints were on the knife, and he confessed.
Somebody else.
Miller is a really important address. Lynn Grant sold the first house, Benjamin's first house, the whatever in Lake Grove. We had neighbors. A young couple just moved in right after we did. They actually knocked on the door. It was a weird setup for a cul-de-sac. I don't really know what the particular name of it is in real estate terms. But it was a nice whatever. It was just a very small house. But it was Miller Drive.
Somebody else
And that was Lake Grove.
murdered Stephanie Miller.
No.
Trust me, you've got the wrong man. And that's all you need to know.
This came from a confession.
I cannot confirm or deny that.
So, yes. Well, your confessor might be lying.
People don't lie in the confessional, Frank.
Kevin, if you're not going to tell me who it is, why'd you bring it to me?
Because I can't sit by and watch an innocent man take a fall.
Potentially innocent man, and unless you give me a name, I can't help you.
I thought I could count on you for your help.
Well, the Lord helps those who help themselves. So give me the name of your confessor, and I'll see what I can do.
Frank, we're talking about statutory evidentiary privilege. I can't give you that name, and you know it.
Then I can't help you.
So what happens to the woman in this situation? The one that had this hands around the neck kind of a thing and was reaching out to her actual mother and father and actual whatever to figure out what to do in a situation where it should have never happened. But here we are. Why is my life getting worse and worse and worse? Why is there nobody at Reagan's Way that's been able to successfully help me out of the situation into what I need? Here's what this episode looks like.
As we've mentioned, very consistent, very straight.
Okay, Cockrell is out there with.
It says Blue Bloods, the Reagan Way. Which has another last name tie-in, but the Reagan has some kind of executive and administrative privilege. So the Reagan Way is whatever and whatever. And I don't know, his administration came in to do the physical fitness tests when we were kids. Well, when I was a kid. Jason wasn't there. 1976 wasn't there, and I'm 1978, so I had a whole different class that I was with in Lloyd Harbor thinking I was protected, or being protected, with hopes, dreams, and aspirations to get to whomever. I mean, it was Nicholas who came to claim me. So I did not want to, in cousins, I didn't want to be whatever left behind. I definitely didn't want to be left hurt in this manner. Or Hamlet, or whatever they're calling it. There's also this, I don't know, in West Virginia, like kissing cousins type of a thing. They have this new, like, flag where if it's pageantry of different squares, but you have to make one square, and you take a swatch because you never know how you're going to codex at the balcony level or at succession level for the business office, because they have to keep things quiet and whatever and whatever. They have this thing going on right now in New York called Gay Pride. So, again, I know there's some tie in there. This is what they put on this morning on the local news. I'm sorry, it's Channel 2 News, CBS.
Welcome back to CBS 2 News Saturday morning. It is 9:41.
Now, at the Ticked Off in JWTROS, in the I'm Already Out, I'm in some dogfight, I don't know with whom, if we're talking Top Gun, in like Machiavelli, in MACH, Mach de Voet.
And it is Pride Month, and a new list is out ranking the states on their receptiveness towards the LGBTQ plus community.
And it's interesting, the U.S. is backwards of the balcony level of SU. SU is already up on the balcony. Us is on the ground floor in the U.S. at the moment, meaning I'm singular, by the way, at the moment. And then there's in Germano, Tedesco e per Italiano e parle they say du Seaman. DUSIEMAN. That's what I could not remember. And then I'm like, how could I not remember that? I was walking on the street and I'm like, do you see the man? No, everywhere I look, I do not see the man. I don't see the man anywhere I turn. In the DUSIEMAN. And then in this version of English, there's other whatevers, but they're not German. Du Seaman.
As CBS 2's Dave Carlin reports, the findings show a growing divide across the nation.
Some states are more inclusive and welcoming of the...
And then I was looking at the Apollo one, and I'm like, oh, polo. Ay. Not the horses with the instruments. It's the chicken. I'm the 90s chick.
The LGBTQ plus community compared to others. It's spelled out in the just released 4th annual state LGBTQ plus business climate index from Out Leadership, a global business advisory group. Todd Sears is Out Leadership's founder
And when I was in the sting operation, where I got stung by something I didn't see coming and I didn't know, and that night I believe there was some kind of whatever. I think that was pretty much, was that the last time I saw a man? I think that was the last time I saw a man. I don't know if any men showed up after that. But in the DUSIEMAN, that was, I think there was a man, at least, I think there might have been two there. But again, I don't know.
and CEO.
So the index this year shows a significant change in some states, both for the better and for the worse. New York, #1 for the second year in a row, from marriage equality through non-discrimination, through even trans rights. So the state continues to lead. Tell me about the state that...
So it says New York is the one that leads in these gay rights. Now, I don't know if this is an articulation with something that you're not supposed to talk about, but I gotta talk about it. Like, they talk about this white privilege. I don't know if it's hidden in that rainbow flag for all of the succession members for this one gigantic purpose, this one gigantic whatever, lifelong in the making, I need to get away from the crazy donkey story and to where I was originally headed in Man.
That is at the bottom of your list. And why?
South Carolina, for the fourth year in a row. South Carolina continues to have discriminatory policies, has never been LGBTQ supportive. Texas, Oklahoma, Florida, of course, who have dropped in our rankings this year because they continue to pass anti-LGBTQ legislation.
When you talk about anti-gay laws and policies, such as
the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, or the bill that's now a law in Texas that prevents families from providing gender-affirming care to their youth. We know that 26% of LGBTQ people have left an anti-gay state in the last 2 years. 36% of people who are LGBTQ are considering leaving one of those states.
According to Sears, anti-gay policies cost states money.
See, the front operation has changed the meaning of this whatever into something, and they happily wear it out. I mean, again, the word gay used to mean happy. Happy. It was not necessarily what they've turned it into. It is what it is. There's a shorthand in the gamma, alpha, gamma, but, I mean, or Gi alpha gamma, but then there's the back office need to have some kind of movement or some kind of show of support or whatever. But I think at each turn of the dial, it's gotten more divided between what administration and the back office needs at leading several balconies through just one balcony's front face with this area, and the the captivated audience just gets lost in these large, broad-scale communication efforts, especially when the pins are not in the correct place.
There's a big push on this front that companies just have to pay attention because they're going to lose out on the next generation of talent.
How do you communicate that this may cost a state money?
I'm a recovering banker, so I speak the language of the...
A recovering banker? That's interesting. How do you become one of those?
Of business. We have over 700 CEOs that are involved without leadership all over the world, financial services and Wall Street.
How many? How do you become a CEO level? Like, what I want to know is who raised the bar so significantly for outside countrymen that it then put blocks and barriers in my very real way, not only for marriage, but as a backup plan in order to perform or stay inside even a US level if I didn't make it to a UK importance level. I mean, like, I don't understand why they put these roadblocks in the way between bow ties to neckties. Like, why couldn't I at least get into a necktie, respectable US CEO position? Why did everybody put up these college and master's and bachelor degree blocks? I have a significant handicap in the field.
Wall Street has been the single largest supporter of LGBTQ rights anywhere in the globe for the last 20 years.
Violence continues to plague the LGBTQ plus community, and there is much work to be done, says Sears, who also says there are gains to celebrate.
His pride, we have made progress. We survived COVID. 20 years ago, we couldn't have done this index. We didn't have marriage equality. You couldn't serve openly in the military. Trans people had no rights.
He says a little time to reflect is good, while keeping up the fight for tolerance and equality. In Midtown.
So they have this great movement. They've had all of this support by the child in the field that is heterosexual. I'm an 8. I require a 7. So I don't Like, I mean, again, and I appreciate everybody in their splendor and glory and whatever and whatever. I just don't understand why, with all of these great things that they've done with this one unity flag and the back office knowing the support that they've reached and how many accomplishments they've made and how people have really made it their own and less about me and more about all about them, in the show off contest, which I'm not in, and I'm not in this challenge. I really just need to get to my number 7. I'm his number 8, and it's an ongoing effort. I can't see any of his side of anything. I only know what's not being done in my daily when I wake up.
Now, Dave Carlin, CBS 2 News.
There are Pride events happening across the tri-state area this weekend. Later today, Governor Ned Lamont will attend the Middletown Pride March. That kicks off on Main Street at 2 p.m. And then tomorrow, it's Queens Pride in Jackson Heights. The parade begins at noon and will travel 37th Avenue from 89th Street to 75th. Asbury Park is also celebrating Pride tomorrow. The parade will also begin at noon and travel from Cookman Avenue down Grand Avenue and turn onto Sunset Avenue. It is 9:44, time for a check on your forecast. And John, who's live in Far Hills, New Jersey, sounds like it's going to be great weather for those walks.
So I'm going to go back to the Blue Bloods and the New York edition of what a respectful table meeting would look like if I could find the honorable men that serve at a different level other than NYPD, or perhaps there's NYPD involved again. I don't really know, because there's been so much distance from what I've needed in the field. I mean, I thought it was simple to get me to whom I needed, but it has been just me, myself, and I at this point. If I was able to get to a table and have dinner, or the dinners that I have attended, they've looked peaceful. I used to have my children at the dinner table every night. There were nannies in the house, they knew. There were babysitters that prepped, so when I came home I could have such a whatever. And then there's the years where it didn't happen, only because I was so sidetracked with 1975 and some freeze going on in The Man Came with the Name Uncle Freeze. It's 2002. I'm only now just able to put it together, but I know other people knew ahead of time. In fact, I was in North Carolina. I went to the ladies' room, and somebody came to the table and said to Diaphragm, he goes, "You don't look like Air Force." And I came back and I was like, "What does that mean?" And so he's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, it always seems like he knows, because he keeps getting these, like, visits. But I'm still, like, left in the dark, because him and I don't talk. And it's not like we teammates? No, we're not. It's someone moved in, somebody knows more than I do, and I don't know how to move around it and get away from it in real. And, like, if he's around this long, why?
I can't remember working a case where I was hoping the guy who I collared didn't actually do it.
What's the case?
It's, no case. Hypothetical case. That's why I can't remember.
You going all soft on us?
No, Gramps. Still pissing people off. This week it's my boss.
Your CO married?
Well, actually, he's mad at me and my former CO, but hopefully he'll get over that.
Well, pissing people off is a job hazard.
Well, it doesn't have to be if you do it right.
Sometimes being passionate about your job pisses people off.
Ah, is that what you're calling it?
I think it's a Reagan hazard.
What's that supposed to mean?
That just means that I think for some people we're a lot to take. What are you talking about? You know, we're strong, opinionated, outspoken, stubborn, headstrong, relentless.
Table full of type A's.
That is true. Well, you're one of them. By marriage, not by blood.
What difference does that make?
Yeah. Well, I think it makes a very big difference. For instance, how often have you gone into Aaron's office to fight for a case or a subpoena or warrant?
Okay, so that's where you're going with this?
Uh-huh. And apparently it's okay if you're blood.
No, it's not okay. And it's...
See, apparently somebody knows more than me, because I couldn't even have this conversation. But some TV producer land in some paradox that doesn't contact me ever, they function in the U.S. with this, and they do all these important things outside of my scope of knowledge. But then things like this one meal is a little misleading, but it's also pieces I'm missing in the gigantic rustle of it all in Maze Runner, Hunger Games, and some Divergent.
It's different than dragging a victim into my office unannounced.
Something going on here we should know about?
No.
Look,
That is the difference, though, between an actress that's involved with the studio, the gods, and who has, like, awards, and then the one that's in the field trying to figure out how the studio level knows all this stuff and putting it all on, like, some kind of social media of, like, the ones with big lawyers, while I'm out here like, it's a fishbowl. It's like a Pink Floyd fishbowl. All these tiles, Tillis, all these bricks in the wall. And I'm just like, where do I go to cash these coins in? Like these coin incidents. I mean, they say coincidence.